The pronoun part, and there's other people like me that don't understand, like, what's you're not a miss, you're not a female. Are you, I have a hard time grasping that. Please explain to me, the blockhead, why these pronouns, like the theys and I totally lost, and I'm not researching it, so I'm asking you, why is that important?
Great question.
Yeah, and I'm not a gender studies major. It's not my life career, so what I say may not be best practices by any means. It's my own opinion.
Why is it important to you? Why is it important to you, Starza? I asked when you and I first started working together, I asked you what your pronouns were.
Exactly.
Remember?
First things first.
California.
But I would say, for me, gender is a spectrum, as is sexuality. You have masculine and feminine, masculine qualities and feminine qualities. So feminine qualities typically are nurturing, understanding, those types of, I'm going to say mothering because I don't know a better term for right now, qualities. You have the masculine qualities, the fix it, those types of qualities, and there's things on the spectrum. So sometimes you feel nurturing, I bet. If you have kids or you have pets or whatever it may be, you feel especially nurturing, or sometimes you feel especially masculine. And so because that's a spectrum, that's how I view gender. I don't necessarily think I'm a hyper feminine person. I don't think I'm hyper masculine. I think I'm somewhere in between. And for me, I use that as a pronoun. So I use they, she pronouns, which means I prefer they, them, but I'm cool with she, her. So either one is fine with me. And so that's what I signal in my profile.
Are you a girl? I mean, I'm a guy. Is there science? Because it's getting into an objective thing on science. And I know this is a whole nother thing. And that's where the confusion is coming from, because people won't ask. That's like Mr. means male, Miss means female. And what you're saying is there isn't a male or female. There's something in between. And that's what we don't get. Do I have that right?
I'm saying it's a spectrum. So there's many things in between.
Yeah, let me tell you a story, Pete, that might be relevant. So back in my 8th grade, so this was like, 5 years ago, our teacher was named Ms. Allback, MS, period. She didn't want to be known as Miss Allback or Mrs. Allback, because it wasn't relevant to anybody that she was married. And so it was important for her. And I remember going, oh, okay, I've never had, other than the nuns that were my teachers, I didn't have anybody that didn't go by Mr. or Mrs. And it was like revealing to me that there was like, oh, got it. It doesn't matter that she's married. She goes by Ms. MS, period. And it was like, oh, cool. All right, move on. And it wasn't hard. I think that we're in this, and it was just a slight shift. It was a, what do you call the spectrum? Stars.
I hear
right?
What
it was a
you're
spectrum.
saying, and I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I'm getting back to the science thing. It's either just guys or girls, and that's where it's like, whether you're married or not.
True, though. First of all, gender is a social construct, has nothing to do with science. Number two, even from a science biological perspective, there's more than that. There are XXX chromosomes. There are XXY chromosomes. There's a lot of different other chromosomal functionality and features that people have. It's not binary. I'm not a biologist.
Wait, you're saying
with that? Yes, I learned in biology that there's stuff like there's super X chromosomes and other things. So there's other chromosomal features beyond just XX and XY. Yes, they're pretty rare, but there's more than just the binary.
Well, they are pretty extremely hyper rare, and I get it. So if you're going to make I guess we're going through all this work for 0.00001% of the population. I get it. And that's why people like me are like, and that's why I'm doing a podcast, Starza. So we'll leave it at that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Starza Thompson. My pronouns are they, she. I'm the VP of Marketing for Apploi, which is an HR tech startup. I'm also a part-time Olympic weightlifter, as well as an aerial harness dancer, and you are listening to the Sassholes.
Welcome to Sassholes. With a combined 100 years of making interesting decisions, Jamie, Justin, KG, myself, Pete are dedicated to helping sales leaders or aspiring sales leaders accelerate revenues with our no bullshit approach to sales leadership strategies and tactics. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Each subscription, I don't know anything about algorithms, but it turns 3 people watching us into 3,000. Pay it forward, please. And hey, if you have the time, follow us on Apple Podcasts. We'll take 5 stars, but if it's 4.5, we'll take 4.5. Today, our guest is Starza Thompson. Starza is the VP of Marketing for Apploi, a recruiting, onboarding, and credential management software company with more than 15 years of experience in marketing and leadership roles across multiple industries, from nonprofit and wholesale distribution to fintech and healthcare. Starza has helped companies of all sizes increase revenue, strengthen their brand, and maximize product fit. She has won both national and company-wide awards for her marketing strategy and demand generation initiatives. Starza has a BA in psychology and English from James Madison University and graduated in the top 10% of her MBA class at the University of Illinois. But before we get to Starza, hey, we got some Patreon love to dish out. Our business supporters. Hey, unlock key account growth with Demand Farm. Smart software to bring account planning and relationship intelligence into your CRM, making key account management practice data-driven, predictable, and scalable. Request a demo now at demandfarm.com. Ask for Ironman. Winalytics, build the revenue organization you want. Request a free 60-minute growth consultation at Winalytics. Ask for Brent and say Big Pete sent you. We'd also like to thank Aaron J. and Trent S. for their support. It's a real ego boost. Thanks, guys. And for all of you out there, again, if you have the means, visit us on Patreon/Sassholes. You can buy us a beer, or you can use us to sit and you can practice your budget meeting. Hey, you're going to ask for a raise? You might as well practice on us. We won't pull any punches. And again, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, guys. Hey, Carney.
Yeah, Pete.
KG. Bars.
Is he reading the joke? Are you reading the joke before he even says it?
Why you guys? I'm not going to put the joke in there anymore. You guys suck.
I know you're not supposed to read it. It's bad.
What?
You can't read.
Screw y'all. Bar soap walks into a bar, says to the bartender, "Hey, give me some suds and put it on my tub."
So bad. Why are you laughing so hard?
Leave us some comments on our blog at sassholes.net. KG, grab a Kleenex.
Oh my gosh. Did you pay him money for this, Pete?
We broke KG.
No.
KG.
I mean, it's early out here, and I'm. Oh God, I don't know. That was good. That was better.
KG, got any shout outs, my friend?
I do have some shout outs. Congratulations to last week's guest, Dion Major, who now is starting a new position as global director of global field enablement at Lead IQ. Congratulations to Kevin Trojan. I went to high school with him about 5 years ago, for being shortlisted as a nominee for the CFO Leadership Awards by the Los Angeles Times. Kind of a big deal. I guess he's smart. And then happy birthday to Mark Bowl and Carl Nielsen and Brian Bemo Morrison. That's it. That's all she wrote.
How many people have we had as guests that didn't have a gig and then all of a sudden got a gig?
Magic.
I don't know.
Starting
Just
with Carney.
Yeah, right.
Gig. Come on, stop it. What, wait, was she unemployed when we had her on? No.
I didn't say she was self-employed. I'm just saying you had somebody else take the risk.
Yeah.
On.
It all came, guys, it all came from Sassholes. Just for
Kevin Dorsey. Kevin Dorsey got a new gig right after he was on our show last year.
And then what about the Amazon guy?
Oh yeah, Jeff Ignacio.
Jeff Ignacio. We're the magic.
We are the magic.
Jason Ferrara, our former sasshole, got a job because of the sassholes.
Yeah, way to go, Ferrara.
Not
Way to
because
show
of
the
anything.
love, man.
Not because of any other reason than the sassholes did Jason Ferrara get the job.
Geez, well, watch out, Starza. You're gonna be switching jobs next week after being on the show.
Oh, I don't think so.
All right.
That's what they all say.
Hey, Carney, I see you're doing some typing. I guess
I
you must
typed
have
earlier.
a shout out.
Just one shout out, Cindy Grogan. I love her to death. She was worked with me at netflixR. She got an award for.
Do you know anybody else besides people at netflixR or people.io?
It's people.ai, and I know a lot of people. Pete, including you, unfortunately. But Cindy,
Continue.
great person. She got CRN Woman of the Channel. Don't really know what if that was.
The hell is that?
I have no idea what CRN is. It's been around for 40 years, I guess. But she won the award, so she gets a little bit of a trophy sitting on her desk.
All right. Cindy, props. All right, John Fagan, 3 years, ZipRecruiter. You knew him there, Gaither, didn't you?
I love John Fagan. I love that guy.
know, John.
Salt of the earth.
Good peeps. Ben Goldberg, 3 years, sales gig. Check out Sales Gig. You know what? Check out Sales Gig if they become a Patreon supporter. Come on, Goldberg. Alex Heiser got promoted account executive at Salesforce. Another person over at Salesforce. Jeez Louise. They should give me a little cut. I'm just saying, wet my beak. Chris Beck, 1 year at Microsoft. Amy Connolly, 9 years at CHG Healthcare Services. Connor Clark, he's got a new gig interning. Lincoln Salt Dogs, broadcasting intern, Lincoln Pro Baseball. Way to go, Salt Dogs. You hired a good one. Justin Breen, 5 years at BR Epic Communications. Okay. KG, how do you know Starza? Where do we find her from?
Well, Starza works at Apploi, and the best healthcare ATS company out there. And I met the CEO of Apploi through a friend formerly at ZipRecruiter, who's now an advisor. And I started consulting and advising with them a little over a year ago. And I was introduced to Starza as the VP of marketing there. And honestly, at first, I was really intimidated. Like, she's a badass, and her background, from startups to big companies and MBAs and all this kind of stuff, I was very intimidated by Starza, but we developed a very close working relationship very shortly thereafter, as she assumed both marketing and sales leadership roles, and we've become far more friendly since then, and I have a ton of respect for Starza, and really like her approach. And so that's how we met Starza, through a client of mine. So Starza, thanks for coming on the show.
Happy to be here.
Being subjected to the sassholes.
So Starza, what's your background? Why should I respect you?
Well, I think that's subjective, but I started off a nonprofit, wrote a cookbook that sold 250,000 copies in the first year as part of that nonprofit gig. Nice. Learned how to monetize myself essentially through that cookbook, went back to school, got my MBA, because as much as I love working for a nonprofit, I wanted to make money and decided that nonprofit work should be what I do as a hobby instead of a career. Worked at a Fortune 500, and then continued to go down in size and company from there. I even started my own business. So I ran a marketing consulting firm for a few years, sold well over 6 figures in my first year there, and decided that as much as I love doing sales and marketing and pitching myself, I did not like the admin part of running my own business. Went back to corporate, worked in the restaurant industry, selling marketing and finance to independent restaurateurs, and then went into healthcare, and now work at a healthcare company as the head of marketing. Throughout the entire time, I've always owned the SDR role as well. So I have a bit of entrepreneurship, marketing, sales, you name it. I've probably done it.
See what I mean? Freaking
Right,
intimidating as all hell. Like, what hasn't she done, for God's sakes? You walk on your hands too, don't you?
I do, and I just started Olympic weightlifting, so I've added that.
She's a badass. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, it's easy getting those restaurant guys to hold on to an appointment, huh?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a very challenging career, and I major props to folks that are continuing to work in that space.
Oh.
You talked about our work personas and personal persona merging together as the personal me showing up at work. Why is that important?
Yeah, so that was actually a big post I made on LinkedIn, and there was a lot of debate within myself of showing that, because I've always worked at companies where I did not bring my personal self to work. I was very, very corporate. I, wore the blazer with jeans when that became the standard corporate attire. I still do oftentimes. I didn't have anything on my desk. I didn't show any personality at work. And then I'd go home and be Starza. And as we have gone into a pandemic and slowly coming out of it, and we're all working at home, and you see where people live, and you see their cats coming in my case, or making noises, you see babies, I've realized that you can't really separate work and life anymore. And as a leader within a corporation, especially a remote first corporation, it's my responsibility to really lead with authenticity. And for me, that means being Starza 100% of the time and not having a corporate version of myself and a personalized version of myself. And so I made this coming out story on LinkedIn and just said, that's what I want to do, because I want to create space for other people. And I want people on my team to feel safe coming out and being who they are at work, whatever that may mean to them.
Do you think a lot of people go through that where they're it's like, I think there was an old Seinfeld or something like that, where it was like work George versus play George, or whatever it was, friend George, can't merge them together. Maybe that was Friends. But do you think that happens a lot in today's world, where people are trying to portray something differently in the corporate world than what they really are?
I think it does. I think it's happening less now, just because we are working from home and we get to see what's behind the curtain literally in everybody's houses. But especially if you're in an other group, is what I like to call it. If you're not what mainstream America is, whether that's you're a person of color, you're a person of the LGBT community, you're not Christian, if you're any of those things, it's really hard to come out in the workplace and show those parts of your personality for fear of backlash or judgment or whatever that may be.
But is that here's the question. Do you think that's self-imposed? Like, if there's a fear just because of the cultural thought process, is it really the company and the people in the company sort of holding that down, or is it just because the culture today might not seem as accepting as it was?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think if you're not seeing your leaders in the company that you're working for showing their personal selves at work, it's signaling to you that you also should not show that personal self at work. So I think it's seeing those signals in the workplace and then imposing it on yourself for safety, because you don't want to lose your job if you're in a state where that could possibly get you fired. Or even if it's not that big, if it's just you don't want people to see your weird personality or unique personality, because you don't want them to judge you or make judgments on you and your work product based on that.
Would totally agree.
Hold on. So what is professionalism then?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, those lines are blurry.
I mean, I can't be my personal self. Oh my God, you have a meeting where you burned an hour and you're like, why the hell wasn't this an email? I can't just go out and say that. I have said that. But
wait, I was going to say, Pete, I've been there when you said that.
Yeah.
Here I am doing a podcast. So why is it that I can't be my personal self and you can, Starza? What is professionalism?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between professionalism and tact. And I think what you just mentioned is tact and not professionalism. I think being aware of how you say something and where you say it and how people are going to react to it is different than being your own person at work.
I think what I would say, Starza, I totally agree with what you said, because the way I operate is people know who I am and everything about my personal life. But when I have to put on the sport coat and talk to clients, I don't need the clients to know that, but my team, whoever worked for me or worked with me, knew exactly who I was from the beginning to the end. I didn't cover that up.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And I think what you did last night versus who you are in person are two different things too. So I don't necessarily to talk about every single thing you did. You don't need to word vomit on people, but for them to know how you identify how you're feeling. And if you're having a vulnerable moment, especially as a leader, that's important for your team to know, so they feel that it's safe for them to have the same kind of moments with you.
Great.
Pete, so for those listening at home, Starza has got a tattoo sleeve on her left arm and a nose ring, and it's like, yeah, man, amen. But like, 10 years ago, that might have actually gotten you stuffed into HR or something like that, or worse yet, something unspoken. But I think you're making a good point though, Starza. Like and Pete is asking this question that's just so effing confusing. Like, what is professionalism? And let me paint a picture for you. You've spent 6 months on your sales kickoff meeting. It's January 2023. And the entire company is there. You've rented out a massive auditorium, and the executives are expected to get up in front of the entire team. And there's 4 executives that get up there. 3 of them are wearing the slacks, the jacket, and 1 of them's wearing their pajamas and yoga pants, and their hair is a little disheveled. Is that bringing your authentic self to work, or is that just freaking unprofessional? Starza? like, would you be caught dead wearing your yoga pants to a sales kickoff meeting and put that under the umbrella of, I just brought my authentic self to work? What's the difference?
A certain level of decorum and dress, and if that's communicated that we're dressing professionally, like, if we were at work, I still wear a blazer every day because that's how I grew up, is wearing a jeans and a blazer. So every single day at work, I wear a blazer. I dress the way that I was taught how to dress at work. Does everybody do that? I'm in a startup. No, everybody wears hoodies and jeans. That's completely fine. But I think there's a level of expectations too. So if you are having a sales kickoff and the expectation is to dress with a blazer on to showcase that you guys are one solid cohesive unit, to showcase that you are planned and prepared, versus wearing pajamas, which looks like, number 1, you don't care, number 2, you're not prepared, is different than being authentic and being vulnerable and showing your identity at work.
These are C-level of executives though. Shouldn't they know better? One of my clients said to me, do you have to tell everybody everything what to do? Like, can't you just said it, there's like a certain level of decorum. You're a C-level executive sitting in front of the entire company and you're wearing your freaking jammies. Like, I'm bringing my authentic self to the sales kickoff meeting. Like, do we really have to set expectations like that? And again, I'm we're jabbing, and that's I don't know where that line is, Starza. Like, I have no problem if somebody's got a full sleeve. JB Delacruz worked for me, one of the best sales managers ever.
Well,
full sleeves, both sides. Tattoos in his neck from one of my best salespeople that Starza knows.
We got a marketing person. Let's talk brand, okay? Because you have a founder, they have how they started the company, and then you bring other people on, and then the culture, the brand, does it dissipate? Are you a representative of the company? Is this what the company stands for when they look at you? Okay.
Great question.
So that's 20 years ago.
I actually have a story about that. So pre-pandemic, I was applying for a job. I was looking for a new position and went through a series of in-person interviews for this VP of marketing position, got to the offer, received an offer, and then it was contingent upon me taking out my nose ring. And I said to them, I've gone through 6 or 7 rounds of interviews with you all in person, never taken out my nose. I've had my nose ring for like 15 years now, so I've not taken it out. Why now are you telling me after this entire process? If you would have told me at the beginning, we could have discussed it, why this is the case, but why now? And they said, oh, well, our culture here is not to have any visible piercings. And I said, well, why is that? And they didn't have a good reason. And so I think if there was a good reason, number 1, if that
is a good reason, but keep going.
Yeah, if that is your culture, that's fine. But then you would select me out. I would not be a good fit for your company, because this is who I am, and this is how I like to signal to other people that I'm alternative, essentially. And I would not work for a company that would force me to take out my nose ring. And if that's what you want, that's fine. That's not for me. So I fortunately work for a company where we were at a conservative event, and me and my heavily tattooed head sales rep walking around in 90-degree heat with our blazers on because we didn't want to show our tattoos. And our CEO was like, what are you guys doing? Everybody else is in shorts and bathing suits. And we're like, oh, we just wanted to be respectful. We didn't want to represent Apploi in a different manner. And he's like, what are you talking about? Take off your blazers. And so the head sales guy and I took off our blazers and showed our tattoos, because that is our culture. Our culture is somewhat edgy, somewhat young. We are a SaaS startup. And so that's fine here. And so I do fit in, and I do feel comfortable showing my tattoos and my piercings at this company. And I wouldn't work for a company that wouldn't allow me to, but that's not everybody.
The pendulum's starting to swing back the other way, right? Like 15 years ago, okay, the nose rings, you wouldn't do that. You can't be your authentic self, okay? Now that's being, I don't want to say overplayed, but now it's starting to swing back over. When do you think like the coming out, the authentic, shouldn't everybody be their authentic self? Shouldn't that be a given? Shouldn't that be in the company values, where it's just the content of your character and the ability to do the job, and all this other stuff, activism, whatnot, goes out the window? And can we just please just do the job that we're supposed to do?
Yeah, I would love that. As soon as we can stop getting fired for being our authentic selves, then that would be great. But unfortunately, there's many places where that law does not allow you to be your authentic self at work. So until that happens, this is an issue for forever, unfortunately.
When I'm talking pendulum now, okay, that's where the conservatives are throwing shade on you, but then you have the liberals throwing shade on the conservatives, where you get canceled, right, with social media. So do you know what I mean? So it's like, when is it, okay, it's going back and forth, and now when does it just settle in the middle, and like, okay, there's alternative lifestyles. Don't force your lifestyle on me. I won't force mine on you. Can we just concentrate on the job itself and this authentic self? Look, if you're not who you are, then you're two-faced, right?
Whoa, I love that. If you're not who you are, you're two-faced. Write that down. Jeez, I love that.
So,
right?
Well, no, not everybody loves that, because you can't say that nowadays. That's why I'm doing podcasts.
But you're talking about the pendulum. But I think it's fantastic. Look, my kids, and I think it's a generational thing. And Starza, of course, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I mean, I honestly, this is our no BS approach. I think a bunch of people just need to fucking die. Like, and when I don't mean die, I mean just sort of die off. Because my kids go to high school.
Did you just say a bunch of people should fucking die?
Yeah, just a bunch of people that are like, that they're stuck. Look, they're stuck in one side of the pendulum, Pete. They're stuck in one side.
Yeah.
And look, my kids, high school and college, they don't give a rat's behind about any of this stuff. Tattoos, nose rings. No, they don't.
They do.
No, they care that that it's okay. Like, they care that it's accepting. They care that it's inclusive. That's important to them.
I'll give you a recent example. Can I give you a recent example? First of all, you're in California, okay? All right. And then Starza, you're in Texas, which is, how are you even living there? But there's this thing that there was GLSEN. I forget what it stands for. They had a National Day of Silence a couple weeks ago, okay? And it was for middle schools, okay? It was for high schools. They didn't mess around with the colleges. And basically it was to give recognition. The students would be quiet all day to recognize the LGBTQ. I never get the acronym right. To recognize that lifestyle. And you had these kids that are between 11 and 14 years old in middle school. And they either had to, they were kind of stuck. Okay. If you remember those awkward years, you don't even know what you are. Okay, you're just following peer pressure. And if you don't remain silent, then what you're saying is you're anti-gay. If you don't go to school on that day, you abstain, then you're anti-gay. We have kids being put in that position. It started with the colleges, and there was a lot of huff on that. Now it seems to have quieted down. Now it's going into the younger kids. I'm just wondering, why should everybody should be who they want to be? Just don't put it on somebody else, especially in a place where you're paying taxes and you're trying to have equal representation for everyone. There's a lot there, Starza. You can punch me in the face anytime.
You just went real political with this really, really quickly. I will say a couple of things. I grew up in rural Virginia. I am Jewish, and I came out of the closet as interested in everybody when I was 9 years old. So I've never like officially had a big coming out story. Like, this is just always who I've been. I'm just that kind of precocious child who knew who I was very, very young. My brother and I were the only Jewish kids in our school for a long time, and we would get targeted. We had Bible study across the street. We went to the public elementary school. They would walk the kids across the street to go to Bible study in elementary school, and we'd have to sit in school with our head down until they came back. So I would say middle school is not too young for this, because as somebody who grew up in a rural community where Christianity was literally shoved down my throat, like I had to just sit and stay silent in school with my head down until they came back from Bible study, that I've grown up with the opposite of that, where everything else was enforced upon me. So I would say, if this is where the society is going, if you can stay silent for a little bit to show that you're accepting of other people, that's not necessarily shoving it down your throat, whereas oppressed people have been oppressed way longer than what's happening right now.
So when is the oppression going to be over? Like,
that would be great. I would love to know. To know when the oppression would be over. It'd be great not to be fearful of coming out at work. It'd be great to not be fearful of putting your pronoun on your LinkedIn profile because it's going to offend somebody, or it's going to cause you not to have as good work opportunities, things of that nature. So yeah, I would love to not be part of oppressed people, and I'm not nearly as oppressed as some other people because I appear white. So like, it is what it is.
I'm like, I'm oppressed putting the American flag in front of my house. You know what I mean? I was the only white guy in the bus going to school. I was oppressed. Where's my coming out party? You know what I mean?
Hundreds and hundreds of years you've had your coming out party.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So getting back to the workplace, what is the difference between a corporate brand and a consumer brand and an employer brand? Do you have any thoughts on that, Starza?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. So caveat this with, I primarily work in B2B. So I'm a B2B marketer. I work for businesses marketing to other businesses. From a corporate brand, it's what's on our website, how the salespeople talk about us. It's how we convey our value to other people. An employer brand is along the same line. So that's a subset of a corporate brand. It's how you work with us, what our culture looks like, what the opportunities are for you here, what are the fun things that we do, how do we represent ourselves, how do we hire? And then consumer brand is, I'm assuming you mean personal brand. That's who I am and how I represent myself professionally, both for my company and otherwise.
As a leader, who is part of the LGBTQ plus community? And how do you make the workplace more accepting and diverse of your community, or something around making the space for people who they want to be and who they are?
Try that again.
Yeah.
You asked that in like.
It's a
Jamie
very
just got it.
Wording question. I just wanted to make sure
you asked the question.
All right, you ask it.
Oh man, I want Jamie. Jamie, no, you do
it. I'll do it again.
All right, now
as a leader,
you guys are bunch
ready,
of
quiet.
shits.
No, I want Jamie to do it.
How do you make the company more accepting to alternative lifestyles? What do you do? Like, if I walked in with a Trump shirt on, would you hire me in marketing? Would you be accepting to me?
I like that question.
Well, it depends on where you're walking into, because we're a remote first company. So I would ideally not see your Trump shirt or anything like that. I would say it starts with leadership, really. It starts with the leadership showing that they are creating space for who you are and creating healthy debate. And I tell everybody that we hire both on sales and marketing, so I also interview salespeople as well, is that's what it is about. It's about learning and understanding from each other who we are. So interestingly enough, we just had our sales summit last month because we are hiring a lot of people. So we just recently had our sales summit. I went as the leader of marketing to do some marketing training with the salespeople. And I have they, she pronouns on my LinkedIn as well as Slack. And we have a couple of salespeople who just came up to me and were like, hey, I noticed this. I just want to be respectful of you. How do I refer to you, or what makes the most sense? How would this be comfortable? And we started talking about my pronouns and my gender journey and all this good stuff. And I had other salespeople come in and be like, wait, I want to be respectful too. Like, what does this mean? And what if I have a client? And so we just had an open conversation where people felt safe to ask me whatever questions they wanted to about everything. And we talked about what that means and how to move forward. And I think just being open as a leader to have those conversations, to be okay for people to come and ask you those questions that maybe not that comfortable to ask, and have that conversation, makes that place easy to work for, regardless if it's gender or it's Trump or it's political, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Being open and able to have those conversations creates that space.
Let's start, Starza, let's back into, like, what are the values of your company?
Yeah, so creating space for who you are is a value. So we actually came up with these values last year. It took us over 9 months to create our values. So human first, making sure that you're leading with humility, creating space for who you are, helping people solve hard problems, and being partners on a journey together. So it's all about, we work in healthcare. We're a human first company. We're hiring software. So everything we do is people and HR based. We want to make sure that people are coming to the table with that. So some things I ask salespeople when we're interviewing them is, I know that sales, we're competing, we're trying to get the number, we're trying to make our ARR, we're trying to make our commissions. How do you pair that with being collaborative and leading with humility? And I ask every single salesperson that. I want to hear how you've been humbled. I know you guys brag, and we've heard a lot about how great you are. We want a competitive person anyway, want a high achiever. But then how do you pair that with humility?
So one of my questions is,
I'm a perfectionist.
With what you said about being open and respectful of other people's journeys and things of that nature. In today's environment, while I think the reason why some people are uncomfortable about maybe being upfront and asking that question is because of the so-called cancel culture. If they make a mistake in how they're communicating, because of their naivete, right? How do you go about opening yourself up in an area that allows for mistakes because they're trying to go down this path and respect you without being, perceived as being ignorant and, whatever that is, when they're actually trying to go down that journey? Because some people, as you said, their upbringing, I grew up in a very diverse upbringing, Pete did as well, but some people, grew up in a farm in the middle of nowhere and have never really experienced much diversification. And therefore they might say something that's completely wrong, but it's only because of their upbringing, and they're actually trying to go down that journey. And I feel like there's a lot of times, especially now, it's, you make one wrong move, you might be gone.
Yeah. Like for example, Starza, I'll just, this is a true story from a sales manager that used to work for me. In a meeting one time, he said, okay, hey guys, let's put our big boy pants on. And he then finished out whatever he was describing. Yes, he was white. Yes, he was male. I think he still is. And he, and somebody on that call was like, oh no, you did not say, hey guys. And you did not say, let's put our big boy pants on. Those are just phrases, colloquialisms, colloquialism. I don't even know how to say the freaking word.
This could be a great editing podcast. Thanks, guys.
I know. Good luck, Pete. You're good at this. So it's like, those are just phrases that people have used in the past, and yet this guy got raked over the coals by HR. And it's like you can't. I don't know. To Jamie's point, like, where is that tolerance to like take people that are like, hey, I didn't realize, but saying, hey guys, which is so common, and saying, let's put our big boy pants on is offensive. Where's the tolerance to then say, hey, let me teach you, as opposed to raking you over the coals? Sorry, you seeing what Jamie and I are saying?
Yeah, and that's actually what I was going to say, is gentle correction is how to do it. If you hear somebody and it is something that, like, using gender neutral terms, hey folks, hey y'all, rather than hey guys, that's an easy correction to make. So I think gentle correction thanking people for receiving that correction and hearing that correction. I think it's just again being empathetic and open to everybody and how they talk. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes in how I talk. I still say hey guys a lot, and I don't even like that. So it just pops out. I try to correct it with hey y'all, hey folks. I try to use more neutral terms in every speech that I'm having. My mother and I have been practicing this a lot. So we do a lot of practicing of using gender neutral terms when we're talking about anything, just because that's easier for everybody. So I think teaching gentle correction, and again, as leaders, being open to being that person that's doing the gentle correction, being open to having those conversations and leading with that empathy helps.
You know what this reminds me of? This may get edited. I don't know.
Here he comes. Here he goes.
It's look, Starza, I respect you. Maybe you'll respect me. I don't know. But you know, there's two ways you can run a sales organization. You can go out there and you can go find the business and work hard and go get it so you can get to quota. Or you can look at an Excel sheet and find reasons why you didn't get to quota because of something that happened to you. And on the HR side of things, or the feeling side of things, it just seems to me people are looking for the negative rather than the positives of people. And that's kind of where I'm getting back to the pendulum. When is that going to be over? Because there's got to be a time frame where, okay, here's your pronouns, here's this, we respect you. Can we get on to these other things? Do you think we're going to see that in our lifetimes, or is it always going to be this wasted energy on this stuff that isn't productive? Think we can get back to the middle and just get to business?
Well, first of all, I don't think energy, because people buy from people who are like them, who they like. And so if you understand me as a buyer,
go the nose ring. You can't wear a nose ring on a sales presentation, because that's gonna, they'll say, yeah, I like what you have. And I'm like, no way I'm buying from you. You know what I mean? That's why they do that. That's why they, in sales, seriously, you don't have beards. You don't want facial hair, because that's a negative aspect that people won't buy from people with facial hair. I'm sorry. There's a business reason why companies don't want that. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah,
but if you're selling to me, and then I would appreciate that you know my pronouns and that you use them respectfully, and then that's it. It doesn't have to be a long, involved conversation. That's it. Then we go on to business. So my identity, while it's part of me, isn't my life. It isn't every single second of work being reminded of it. And I think a lot of people feel the same way that I do. It's one small aspect of who I am as work Starza. There's many other aspects and facets of who I am. And the more that we make it this big deal that we have to dwell on it, and we don't just say, okay, that's great, that's who you are, let's go on to business, then the more it is going to be a big deal. So I think it's really on that wasted energy. It's not wasted. It's 5 seconds of learning who somebody is and then making that rapport, which you're supposed to do in sales anyway, and then moving on to the sell.
It's one thing if people can be straight up and speak face to face and explain where they're coming from. It's another thing to experience something and not say anything and go to HR and fill up their do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I wouldn't do that unless there's a continuous problem where I feel unsafe. So I would have that conversation directly with you, whether that's personal one-on-one or as an educational moment altogether. Or one thing that we're doing, I just watched, we have sexual harassment videos, as most of us do, that we have to watch and for compliance and training. Ours now talks about gender, pronouns, sexuality in it. That's part of it too. Like, it does not have to be such a big earth-shattering deal. It's just acknowledging there are other people out there.
Can I ask a serious question?
Oh no, sure.
Where do
you stand on Flobies at work?
No. So getting back to the values are important. They have to be carried through, because at the end of the day, whatever you are, you got to respect each other. Okay. Because I've had Black people, I've had gay people, and then maybe I've had trans. I couldn't tell, but all I cared about is, could they do the job for me? Okay. And that's all that mattered. Okay. Mm-hmm. In all my years, the only ding I got on me was I was too blunt, or was it tact? Is that the word, tact? Okay. But I said it to somebody's face and they knew exactly where I was coming from.
Yeah.
It wasn't through a side channel playing the telephone game through HR. I told you direct. Okay. And that's kind of where I think there's a lot of problems today. Starza, I think you would tell me to the face, hey, don't say that. I prefer this. Okay, I got it. I might screw up 3 or 4 more times, but I'll work on it and I'll get it and I'll work with you because I need your marketing expertise to help further the business. Okay. So I get, yeah. Okay. So fundamentally we're there. We're just different paths. KG, what's the next question?
Well, I'm not even sure we have enough time here, but I would love to just dive a little bit into marketing. So as a marketing leader with lots of experience here, do you have like a preferred marketing tech stack? I mean, besides, of course, including People AI and Demand Farm in your, in your tech stack, what's your preferred marketing tech stack? When you're at a company, these are the must-haves.
Yeah, so I'm a HubSpot person through and through. So HubSpot is my preferred marketing automation platform. SalesLoft is my preferred sales cadences for the SDR platform, and Salesforce is my preferred CRM. And I have to say Salesforce is people automatically think it's a given, but I work at companies that is not a given too. So I say from the most simplistic view, those are my top 3 must-haves. Nice to haves are things like Gong for call recording that helps product marketing sales, as you guys know, and other things too. So I always work with like digital agencies on paid ads and making sure we have platforms there, but those would be my 3 must-haves.
Would you rather, like, is there like a secret weapon where you're like, oh, this is the tool that like revolutionizes my marketing and makes it so efficient? Is there any tool like that?
I would say it's my people. My people are my tools that revolutionize marketing. We are a startup. My company I founded our marketing department and built it as of last year. So we are really new in the marketing side of things for my company. So my people are the blood, sweat, and tears and the foundation on top of that tech stack.
I find that great that you said that, because I think people need to be pushing the technology rather than the technology pushing the people. I know that's but what I mean by that is when the people are exhausted, that's when you need to find technology to replace their time, and so that they can move to the next level. As opposed to right now, what happens is a lot of people have that Frankenstack, is what we've been hearing a lot, or I called it drunken tool fatigue, where some technology comes in and sells to someone technology that you don't know you need, and then you end up buying it, and then let's say you leave and somebody inherits that, and all of a sudden that tech stack becomes overcomplicated and overburdened.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We have a long list of nice to haves of things that would be great if we had it, but we know we don't need it yet. So what we do is we experiment testing things out. So right now we're doing a manual version of account-based marketing, making sure that this is a good fit, that we understand the systems and processes in place. And once we have that, then we can go out and see whether or not we want to implement an ABM software. So that's how we've been approaching it so far, is let's experiment. Let's see what we can do from a manual-based process and see where our priorities lie in terms of what software we want to adopt next, if any.
Starza, how many people are at your company?
I think we are close to 100 right now.
So 100. And when you started, how many people were there?
Say like 30?
Yeah, once you hit 50, no, I'm serious. Once you hit,
no, I just love the growth of Apploi. Sorry, I was just admiring.
Well, no, that's kind of what I'm saying, is something to notice on the culture and the way things are going on. Once you hit 50, something happens. Yeah. And once you get to 100, because all these processes need to come into place. The HR you're going to get a new HR person. And if you don't have an attorney, you're going to get one or maybe 2. On the marketing side, the leads do you get the inbound leads, or is that a sales thing?
I get them because I have the SDRs that report into me.
So you have the SDRs. That's the thing. Are you getting an itching or a feeling where, oh man, this is going to have to get over to the sales department, or are you always going to hold on to them?
I always have held on to them my entire career because I am anal retentive and want to see what happens to my leads. And the more control I can have over what happens to them, the better I feel. If they are in the sales department, then I am connect to the hip with the SDR manager or the sales manager, or whoever manages them, because that's important to me. I care less about MQLs, SQLs, or whatever. I care more about revenue. So I want to make sure things are closing and they're closing in the right manner.
So then you're pretty tight with Creo over there?
I am, yes. Yes, we're besties.
Okay, got it. All right, man, we're running out of time. We got to bring, if Starza wants to come back, there's so much more shop we can talk to. But see, that's kind of where the energy gets screwed up when we get caught up on these acronyms and lifestyles, and we got this stuff.
But this is great though. Like,
no, it is. I get it. I get it. I can't. That's kind of why I'm asking. I can't wait till like all this stuff. It's just two people talking versus pronouns talking. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but then it'll just be a non-issue. It'll be it'll be, we'll figure out. It's like, yeah, we just, it's like me calling Pete. It's as simple as that, but it's somebody else's pronouns, man. It was awesome. It was awesome.
I prefer Pierre. Starza, what's the best way for our viewers and listeners to find out more about you?
Yeah, so first of all, my name is extremely unique. So if you Google me, you'll find my entire life history, Starza Thompson. I'm also on LinkedIn, Starza Thompson. And if you want to see more about Apploi and what we're doing, we have a YouTube channel under Apploi,
which I just subscribed to. So you got to subscribe to ours now.
Will do.
All right. Hey, we thank you all for listening. On behalf of Jamie, Justin, KG, myself, Pete, we also thank you for watching. If you like what you heard and saw today, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm telling you, each subscriber is like magic fairy dust. It turns 30 viewers into 3,000. And then we have some Patreon love to give out from our business supporters. Unlock key account growth with Demand Farm. Smart software to bring account planning and relationship intelligence into your CRM, making key account management practice data-driven, predictable, and scalable. Request a demo now at demandfarm.com. Ask for Iron Man. Starza, you got to check out Demand Farm if you haven't. Melin's got game over there. Winalytics, build the revenue organization you want. Request a free 60-minute growth consultation at winalytics.com. Ask for Brunt and say, Big Pete sent you. We'd also like to say, hey, thanks, Aaron J. and Trent S. for their support. It's a real ego boost. And if you have the means out there, Patreon/SaaSouls, you can buy us a beer, or you can have us down for an hour and beat you up to go over your budget before you actually ask for your budget. Check it out at Patreon/SaaSouls. Hey, we thank you all for listening. Cue the music.